The Arizona Cardinals travel to San Francisco to face their NFC West division rival 49ers on Sunday. BETDAQ currently has San Francisco installed as a whopping 16.5-point favorite, 39.5 the total in this game. Now, when you see a number as big as 16.5 and a total as small as 39.5, that tells you all you need to know about the Arizona offense. I mean, odds makers don't expect Arizona to score at all in this game, and you can't blame them. The Cardinals come into this game 32nd, dead last in the league in yards per game, 30th in points scored. Brian Hoyer will be making his first career start at quarterback in this game on the road against the San Francisco defense. Not only are they as good as it gets in the NFL, second in total defense, third in points allowed, but they are going to be agitated after getting shredded last week by the Seattle Seahawks. The Niners lost 42-13 last week on the road in Seattle in that nationally televised game. You know they don't want to go in the playoffs on a note like that. So you almost feel bad for Brian Hoyer in this spot. I mean, he was thrown into the fire last week against Chicago. The Cardinals just signed him 2 weeks ago off the street. He was sitting on his couch like you and me. Was signed 2 weeks ago, as I said. Got into the game last week against Chicago, and he struggled. 11 of 19, 105 yards, and an interception. Thing is, the Cardinals just don't have a better option. Ryan Lindley and John Skelton have been so bad that Coach Ken Wisenhunt is forced to turn to Hoyer. It's going to get ugly. It could get ugly. Now, this game is very much like the Denver-Kansas City game in that it's almost impossible to make a case for Arizona, or in that other game, Kansas City. The lines are almost identical. Denver a 16-point favorite over Kansas City. San Francisco a 16.5-point favorite here. In both games, I think it's going to depend on your personal philosophy. Some people don't like laying double-digit numbers, period, in the NFL, much less a number like 16.5, over the 14-point threshold. Some people just won't do that, and some people will take the other team just based purely on the fact this is the NFL and teams shouldn't be 16.5-point underdogs. There's one main difference, I think, in the Kansas City-Denver game and this game. And I do favor Denver minus 16 in that other game. The Kansas City offense, similar to Arizona, is just so bad. I don't think they'll get anything going. The difference is the Arizona Cardinals, they actually have one bright spot. The Kansas City Chiefs, it's hard to find a bright spot there at all. Arizona is good on defense. Specifically, they are great in the secondary. The Cardinals, third in the NFL in pass defense, 12th in total defense. That's pretty good considering this defense has been put in some tough spots. I mean, has to be tough to keep your effort up when the offense is just so bad and you're out of a lot of games. But the Cardinals defense has been impressive all season. And San Francisco, unlike Denver, obviously they have Peyton Manning and the Chiefs not as good on defense as the Cardinals. San Francisco playing Colin Kaepernick at quarterback. Even though Kaepernick has been pretty good this season since he took over for Alex Smith, still a young, inexperienced guy, had the worst game of his career last week. I don't think anybody would be surprised if Kaepernick threw an interception or two in this game. And the Cardinals, they're a ball-hawking secondary, a great secondary, as we said. So to me, that's the main difference between this matchup and the Kansas City-Denver game. And I would be more inclined to take Arizona plus 16.5 than I would Kansas City plus 16 this week. That being said, I'm not jumping at the chance by any means to back Arizona and their quarterback, Brian Hoyer. This is one of those games where I think it's quite likely that the San Francisco defense outscores the Arizona offense. For that reason, I mean, even though the Niners, they're banged up, I mean, defensive lineman Justin Smith expected to be out again this game. We're hearing torn triceps maybe, even though he is expected to be back for the playoffs. Mario Manningham, the Niners wide receiver, was injured last week. His knee in that Seahawks game, Cam Chancellor laid the wood to him. You saw that. It was one of those, when you saw the hit, you went, ooh, and then Manningham turned out he tore ligaments. So Niners are banged up, coming off that big loss to Seattle, but to me that loss is going to be just going to serve as motivation in this game. Tough not to look at San Francisco minus 16.5 here, even though, as I said, if you force me to bet on one or the other, Kansas City or Arizona, I do think there's a better chance of Arizona staying close in this game than there is Kansas City staying close to the Denver Broncos. But I'm not backing the Cardinals, certainly not. If you're going to have to do it, put feet to the fire, gun to my head, whatever you want to say. I like San Francisco minus 16.5.